Hi everybody, it's Jenny from the Missouri Star Quilt Company, and I've got a really fun project for you today. Take a look at this quilt behind me. Isn't this fun? So we're calling this the hashtag quilt, but you know, if you're my age, we call this the pound sign. So hashtag or pound sign, I'm going to show you how to make this, and it's just quick and easy. So to make this quilt, what you're going to need is one packet of 10-inch squares, and we've used the Pool Party Color Story, and it's by Kona for Robert Kaufman, and it's just a beautiful line, just absolutely gorgeous. You're also going to need about 3.5 yards of background fabric, and that includes all your little pieces and your border as well. So let's get to making this. So when you go to make this quilt, what you're going to do is you're going to take your 10-inch squares and you're going to cut them into 1.5-inch strips. Everything in this quilt is just about 1.5-inch strips. You're going to cut the whole thing. So I want to do that for you today so you can see how this goes together. Out of each 10-inch square, you're going to get 2 blocks, 2 separate hashtag blocks. So that's kind of fun. So we are just going to line this up right here and cut 1.5 inch squares all the way across. Now I'm using my ruler to measure with. You can use either your ruler or your mat. And you just want to keep them together. Now, you know, usually when I do these kind of blocks, I will stack up a few fabrics, and I would suggest until you get going that you kind of do one at a time, because with one 10-inch square, you're already getting 2 blocks. You're liable to get just a bit confused, and I tell you, that's what happened to me. So I got a bit confused, and I was like, okay, we're just going to go back and do one at a time. Also, with this color line, there are a lot of color hues that are very close in color. So you just want to watch that. All right. So you can see I have this little piece left over here. This is the only waste that there is. And I should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these. So you're going to cut your 10-inch square into 6 of these little squares like this. You then need a 1.5-inch strip of your background fabric. So you're going to take your background fabric and you're going to cut 1.5-inch strips of that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take 2 of these and sew them right onto this 1.5-inch strip, and we're going to sew 1/4 inch. So we'll head over to the sewing machine and do that. So I'm just going to lay my presser foot right there on the edge, make sure my needle's set at a 1/4 inch, and sew down this side. I'm just going to lay another one right on the strip so I can keep going. All right, now we're going to go ahead and cut these apart. You want to make sure that on your edge of your strip you don't have your selvage included. You know, go ahead and trim that off so you don't accidentally sew that together. So then what we're going to do is I'm going to come over here to the iron. I'm going to set my seams so that that thread just relaxes a bit, and then I'm going to roll this back. You want your seam to stay to your color side, particularly if you're using white as your background fabric. We don't want those colors to pop up in between the others. So then you don't see them. All right, so now what you do is you're going to take these 2 and sew it together, just like this. So now we're sewing those 2 pairs together. We're going to press that open. So then what we're going to do is we're going to add one more piece on here, and that's going to give us our whole strip set, because what we're doing is building this strip set. All righty. 1/4 inch right down this side. And let's trim that, or iron that, sorry. We're going to iron that back. We're not trimming yet. All right, this is the strip set you're looking for. We're looking for a white, a blue, white, blue, white. And it's 5 strips, 1, 2, 2 blues and 3 whites. Then we're going to cut it again into 1.5 inch strips. So I'm going to go ahead and clean up this edge right here. And then we're just going to come along here and cut these. Like this, and we're going to cut the whole thing. We're just going to keep cutting until we can't cut anymore. All 1.5. All of these are 1.5 inches. I didn't remember if I told you that or not, but they're all 1.5. I'm using my ruler to line up the 1.5 mark. And last one here, and this is our little bit of waste. That's it right there. All right, so now we have these pieces, and what we're going to do is we're going to use 2 of these to make our hashtag. So this is the way it's going to look. It's going to go, we're going to use 3 strips right here, and we're going to sew these together, and it's going to make the hashtag. So let's go ahead and we're going to put, we're going to take our solid blue and put our strip set on top of it and sew that right on there. And we're going to do that to 2 of them. So here's the first one, and I'm stopping and starting because I want to make sure all those seams are laid down. Then we're going to do it to the next one. Sew it down. And then we're going to trim these off. So these have little tails on them. So we're going to trim off those tails right here. And these pieces, make sure you save those and put those in a stack because we are going to use those later. So let's trim off this one. We're going to press these open. Let me trim that string too. And I'm going to go ahead and set my seam and roll that back. You want to make sure that you don't have any little pleats in your strip sets. As you're ironing back, make sure that that seam is all the way open. So now we have this. We're going to add one more piece in there, and that's going to give us our hashtag. So we'll take our 2 right here that have the strip set on them. We're going to sew those together, and then we're going to add this strip set to the outside edge. And we're going to add one more here. Make sure you get that on the wrong side. I almost put that on the opposite side. All right, there we go. We're going to trim our threads off and iron that open. I'm going to iron it first and then trim, I think. So now you've got your hashtag all done. You just need to go ahead and trim it up, take off any little threads that are left in there. Just go ahead and, even up those seams and make sure it's just perfect. And you get 2 of these out of each block. Now off camera, I went ahead and sewed the other one together so you can see. We've got the 2 of them, and that's your whole block. But there's one more thing you need to do. Let's take a look at this sashing. Now you can see here we have sashed in between every block, but what we did was we put a corner sashing on like this so that it would corner each block, and then as you sew the blocks together, it's already sashed. So here's how we did that. We took our background strip and we laid our square on here and sewed it down 1/4 inch. Let's go to the machine and do that. So here we go. We're just going to sew this down. So you're going to lay your hashtag right on that 1.5 inch sashing strip, and we're just going to sew it 1/4 inch down. And then when you get down here to the bottom, when you're all done with that side, you can actually just take it and use your scissor, use the edge of your block as a guide, and just cut right along that guide, and you don't even have to get up and cut if you don't want to. So then we're going to go ahead and put the sashing on the other side as well. So I'm just going to take this block and again lay it right down on my sashing strip, and sew 1/4 inch. So we're doing one corner is what we're doing, sashing just one corner. There we go. And again, I'm just going to take this and trim it off with my scissor, just like this. Now we need to press them so they're nice and flat, and then I can show you how we laid them out. Alrighty. So here we have some blocks, some sashing blocks that are already done, and you'll be able to see how we laid them out. So what I did was I set them in a row just like this, mixed my colors up, set the next one right next to it just like this. When you go to add this one, you see that in between sashing is already done. Here, let me scoot this over here so you can see this a little better. Get it right in front of that camera. There we go. All right, so then you can see, so this makes the sashing for this block. So as you go ahead and put your blocks together like this, they're going to be all done and sashed as you go along. The only thing left to do then is you're going to add a sashing up here and a sashing on one side. You're just going to have to finish it off on one side. Now I know you've noticed that little border that's back there, and what I did with that was all the little end pieces that I cut off like this, I sewed together end to end to end like this. You know me, I don't like waste, and made a little piece border to put in there, and we made it like a giant hashtag. And how you do that is you're going to put your side pieces on first. So these pieces right here, you know, you'll already have your 1.5 inch sashing all the way around your quilt. We're going to put this little strip in here and your wide border, and this is a 5.5 inch border out here. And you're just going to sew that just on the sides. So you go from the center and sew the 2 side borders. Then you're ready to cap it on the top. We know this is a 5.5 inch border, so we have a 5.5 inch square up here. Then we put our little strip, we put our middle piece across here, and then we put our little strip and our 5.5 inch square again. And it makes it like a giant hashtag. So it's just really, really fun. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on the hashtag or the pound quilt from the Missouri Star Quilt Company.